So we're going to watch this interview of the Teamster president, Sean O'Brien, with Dana Bash, the Teamster who made a headlines by announcing that the powerful labor union would not be endorsing either Kamala Harris or Donald Trump in 2024 election. So this decision comes at a critical moment as both candidates are vying for the support of key working class voters. And O'Brien's remark have sparked discussion about how the Teamster neutrality could influence the broader dynamic of the election, potentially impacting voter turnout and swaying crucial swing states. As race heats up, O'Brien's decision not to throw the union weight behind a candidate may send a shockwave through both campaigns. So without further ado, let's watch this.
Brian, thank you so much for being here. I want to go back to the announcement. You said neither major candidate was able to make serious commitments to our union to ensure the interests of working people are always put before big business. You met with Vice President Harris this week on Tuesday. What commitments were you looking for from her that she did not provide?
Well, one biggest commitment is we want our members, a commitment that the government will not interfere or try and impede our right to strike in any collective bargaining situations we're in. In 2022, our railroad workers were forced into a contract and they were not happy about it. So under the Railway Labor Act, we want to make certain moving forward that those commitments are met. We asked about people that are currently in the administration that have been good working with us. We couldn't get commitments on that either. So Donald Trump, when he came in, he couldn't commit to veto and national right to work. So there are a lot of issues that are important to our members, that are important to our organization as an international, that we couldn't get commitments on. You know, we couldn't get commitments on the PRO Act from President Trump, and then couldn't, you know, so those are the important issues that are important to us.
Oh, wow. Wow. So Kamala Harris, who met with this union early this week, maybe it was Monday, like, is coming out of that meeting without the endorsement. Like, you know, let me remind you, this union has been endorsing Democratic nominees for decades, and Harris still couldn't close the deal. What happened? Did they just not take her seriously? Did they feel like she couldn't negotiate, just like Trump has been saying for months now? It's funny because we keep hearing about her skills as a leader, but it seems when it comes down to the wire, she just can't secure the key players. You know, it's not a good look when Democrats can lock down a union that's been in their corner for 30 years. For context, even Joe Biden, with all his gaffes and missteps, could still get these guys on board in 2020. So what went wrong here? Let's be honest, Kamala Harris' track record on getting things done has been shaky at best. If we remember, she was appointed a border czar under Biden, but we all know how the situation is going. And now, here we are, unable to even secure a typical Democratic endorsement. It's crazy. It makes you wonder if unions are starting to wake up to the fact that they can't just back a Democrat and hope for the best anymore. Maybe they're realizing they need someone who can actually deliver, you know? Now let's see what Dana Bash is going to try to do here in order to spin this out.
Just real quick, you mentioned the rail strike and the fact that the Biden administration got involved. Maybe this is hard to answer, but if Joe Biden were still at the top of the ticket, do you think the non-endorsement would still be the case?
Well,
look, would you have endorsed him?
Look, I mean, there's no running from the fact that Joe Biden was the most pro-union president. He passed legislation to fix 300 pension funds, and I am truly appreciative of it. And that was a problem that was created by legislation in 1980 that put tremendous strain on these pension funds. So it's a problem that they created and they finally fixed. And we're grateful for it. But, you know, Joe Biden wasn't polling all well either. Remember, Joe Biden was in the race and we polled, and he was polling about 34% with our members.
Got it. All right.
Wow. So even Joe Biden wasn't polling well. It's crazy. Look, the Teamster may not have openly endorsed Trump, but the fact that they're not endorsing Kamala Harris, that's a victory for him right now. And why? Because members within the union are not happy with the current economic situation. Sure, they're getting paid, they've got the benefits, but the overall economy, not so great. And these folks are starting to feel it. Let's not forget that, like he said, even Biden wasn't polling well with them, but Trump is polling almost 60% favorability among Teamster members. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris is sitting around like 34%. That's a massive gap. And it says a lot about where the working class vote might be headed. It's like a silent rebellion within the union ranks, and people are fed up with the way things are going today. This situation is a reminder that the economy is still front and center for a lot of voters, especially union workers. And if a major Democratic base like the Teamster isn't rallying behind Kamala Harris, that's a problem for a campaign. Trump, on the other hand, gets to chalk this up and as a win, even if they didn't explicitly back him. You know, it's a win. So what do you guys think? Is this just the beginning of a larger shift? Drop your comment below.
Ask you about something that New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez pointed out, and that is that the Teamsters and other labor organizations rely on Democrats to achieve key policy goals. Listen to this.
And at the end of the day, we know that when the Teamsters are in trouble, who do they call? When we need to make sure that Teamsters pensions are bailed out, when we need to make sure that they have a fair shake at the negotiating table with rail, it was Sean O'Brien calling Democrats for help.
So just building on that, you mentioned a little bit of this, but I'll just give even more details to our viewers. No Republicans in the Senate supported the bill that bailed out approximately 600,000 pensions for the Teamsters. Kamala Harris cast the tie-breaking vote. No Republicans currently support the PRO Act. If Democrats are the ones that consistently not just support your legislative priorities, but pass them into law, why are you refusing to endorse and give her the really key boots on the ground grassroots in a 50-50 race?
Well, I just may want to clean up a couple of things that are inconsistent with the Congresswoman stated that the President of the United States, along with the former Secretary of Labor, was calling the Teamsters for help to try and settle it because they were afraid that if a rail strike happened, that it would throw the country into a recession. We were not calling on the administration. We were calling on the administration to stay out of it. And I've quoted this many times that my neighborhood that I grew up in, with you're familiar with in Boston, if two people are having a disagreement, you have nothing to do with it, you keep on walking. So that statement's inconsistent. Now, she has to remember that, you know, there is a clear divide, especially in Teamster members, between the Democrats and the Republicans. And instead of trying to pick a fight with labor leaders who listen to their members and embrace their members' opinions, she should maybe get into her district where it voted far Republican, far right Republican, and maybe find out what the problem is. When I have a problem in a work site and there is criticism, I get right in there and find out what that problem is.
What do you mean voted far right Republican? She's
in our polling,
she's a Democrat.
In our polling,
oh, you mean among Teamsters?
In our polling, New York, her district, voted overwhelmingly Republican to support former President Trump. So she may want to focus on her job instead of mine.
Oh my God, Sean O'Brien, the guy is a beast. Seriously, you've got AOC trying to call him out, saying that Teamster always run to the government for help, and Biden bailed them out. But Let's set the record straight. The Biden administration begged the Teamsters to hold off on striking. Why? Because if they didn't, it would have pushed the economy into a recession. It wasn't some kind of government favor. It was the Biden trying to save face, you know? Now, here's the real kicker. In AOC's own district, there are more Teamster members who support Trump than you would expect, especially considering it's traditionally a Democratic stronghold. The fact that O'Brien and the Teamster respected the voice of their members instead of just following Democratic tradition is huge. I mean, the polling showed it, we saw it yesterday. There is a reason or a serious shift happening here. They choose to prioritize the members of a political loyalty, which is rare these days. And honestly, I respect that. O'Brien's decision shows real leadership, actually, staying true to the people he represents, not just the party line. It's refreshing to see a union leader actually listening to the workers instead of just playing the political game. And as we can see, that's what's throwing off people like AOC. But hey, that's the kind of leader we need right now. Someone who stands by their people, not the establishment. So what do you think? Drop a comment below. Let's keep this conversation going. As always, like, share, and subscribe. If you enjoyed this, stay tuned for more.